Hey guys, okay, so I'm about to sew Berkley's. I'm trying to start this the right way this time. Okay, so sorry if I'm looking in a weird direction. I'm holding my phone and I'm not sure exactly where to look. It's so weird. Okay, so I'm just going to show you in the pattern. Here, I'll just show you, flip it around. Look at that, not me. Okay, so in the pattern, there are great videos for every step, so you really don't need this sew along, but I like to do it, and I was making one, so I asked Tiffany if I could just do it anyways, and she said yes. So I like to do it, and I like to help some people enjoy seeing them live, so I just wanted to show you. So in the pattern, it does tell you very detailed instructions on how to do the pleats, and so I wasn't going to go over that and take the time, because it does take, you know, not a lot of time, but it does take some time to mark them and to sew each one and all of that. So I didn't want to take time to do that. So I already did that, especially since there's already a really good video. So I'm just going to show you how I cut it out and how it worked best for me. There's obviously many ways you can do it, but this is how it worked best for me. So I took my lining piece of the front and laid it on top of the long piece, and those of you who have the pattern and are sewing it or getting ready to or whatever, you'll understand what that means, because you'll have already had it. But so what I'm going to do now is cut around this pattern, or this piece, to make it a little bit easier than folding in half and having to make for sure my pleats match. So this is the way that I did it, and I felt like it was the easiest way to go. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I'm making this for my daughter, and she's just turned 2, so she's still got her baby belly, and so when I tested it, it was a little long for us, so I went ahead and took an inch off the length, because she needs it to go just above her little baby belly, or else it's too tight and the shoulders kind of ride up. So that's just for us. I mean, everybody's different. Go by, you know, what works for you, but I just wanted to be upfront and let you know that I did that. And also the fabric I wanted to use, I don't know what happened with it, but somehow it got cut in strips and not one long piece, so I'm not doing a bias on the bottom. I'm gonna put a ruffle on it, but so you get to see, do a ruffle, and I know that's a little different than the pattern, but you know, I don't have to show it if it's too different, but I thought maybe some people may want to see it. So okay, here we go. Let me get my little stand thing and then hook it up and we'll get going. Okay. Questions anybody has? Hopefully today I'll be able to see questions. Maybe if someone can throw a comment up there so I can go ahead and see if I can see. It can even just be a hi or whatever, see if I can see comments today. If not, I can get my computer ready to go. So I'm just cutting around on the piece that I did the pleats on the front piece. And I am doing a sleeveless version because this is very, very light fabric, and so I wanted to do this sleeveless. Commented. I haven't seen it if you have, so I don't know why Facebook does weird stuff sometimes. It makes it hard to see. Okay. Alright, there we go. So now I've got one of those along, and I'm just going to go back. I got, if you can see on my pleat, this little guy. So I'm just going to trim that off. Okay. So now you have your front bodice piece. That should all be centered. Everything's looking good. Good to go. And we're going to head over to my machine. And again, it's not, you know, nobody wants to watch, that's fine too. I'm going to go over how to do the zipper. It's just going to take a little bit of time. There's a few steps on this pattern to do first. Let me grab my iPad, see if I can. Sometimes Facebook doesn't work on my iPad, so it's old. Okay, oh boy, I got a nice glare. Sorry. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm trying to be organized and okay. Alright, I'm done. Okay, here we go. So I did go ahead and prep my centerpiece. That way for my faux placket, where it was all good to go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the fronts and back together. And you know, these patterns are so detailed. You know, so long like this isn't necessarily a have to anymore. These designers are doing a great job. But I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to people about sewing. So I enjoy answering any questions anyone might have. So it's more for fun for me. Right now I'm doing my center, or my shoulder seams. Okay, I'm trying to get this up on my iPad. Let's see. I swear my thing doesn't work. Make sure and turn my volume off so I'm not watching. Backflow. Okay. Alright, I don't know. Someone could comment. Even just a hi. See if I can see it. Nothing? Alright. Can someone throw a like through there? See if maybe that'll come up. Not that I'll definitely have to get my computer because I don't want to be. No, nothing. Okay. I don't know what the deal is. Okay. Got your shoulder seams sewn together. I'm going to sew the, I'm going to move to my sewing machine. I'm going to pin this on first and get it super straight. I tried. This had a print on it, so I had to make it a teeny bit smaller because it was kind of funky and really off center when I first did it. So. I don't know why it doesn't show comments. It's kind of frustrating. Sorry, guys. Okay, let me grab my computer real quick while we move to my sewing machine, and I'll see if that works better. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm still here. I know. We'll see. Okay, so we'll see. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. I do have my machine up now. Okay, so I'm going to sew the center faux placket on my sewing machine. Sorry, I was sewing something something knit. I'm just going to change it back. My machine is smart and it knows what tensions to do and all of those things, depending on what I'm sewing, which I really like. Anybody doing anything fun this weekend? Mine and my husband's anniversary is on Monday, so I got a sitter for tomorrow. We're going out for a couple hours, have some dinner, actually getting couples massage, because I mean, it's like the best thing to do, right? Get a massage. I don't know. It sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had a massage in forever, so I'm really excited. We've been married for Monday will be 7 years. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to some time together. You don't get much when you have a baby, so. Okay, so now I'm just sewing my buttons on real quick, just to get this step out of the way. I know a lot of people have watched before and had questions about zippers, and I happen to, the zipper I have is a really, really long one, so I'm like, ooh, that'll work great, because I know before people have had questions about how to, you know, make a shorter zipper and all of that, so I figured this will work out great. Have short zipper, or long zipper. Okay, I'm just sewing this on. For the longest time I could not sew a button on very well. Like, I could do it, but I don't think it was that I couldn't, it was just that it's one of those tedious things that I didn't enjoy doing. So I think that was more of the issue. But I worked in I think I've said this before, so sorry if I repeat myself, but I worked in a bridal store for several years right out of high school, and I did alterations on bridal gowns, and the little details in a bridal gown that you have to do is, you know, it's tedious, but it taught me a lot about making for sure, you know, making the little details matter. So now sewing on a button isn't so bad. And of course I'm sewing these buttons on. I thought I was using navy thread because my buttons are navy. And the thread is black. So there's my little details. No one will notice. I will, but it'll be alright. Okay, last button. That's just a step in between. You know, it's different to do it first, but it's what we're doing. So, anybody? Thanks, Amanda. You're sweet. Been making stuff for Amanda's girls since the oldest was 2, so been sewing for her for a while. Anyways. Sorry guys, I know this is boring. I'm trying to get to the good, fun stuff. Okay, got that done. Good, good, good. Okay, so we all know about the burrito method when you're sewing a dress or whatever, and you're doing it sleeveless, and you're doing it without any back closures, right? So we all know there's something called the burrito method. It's great. You do not, however, have to use the burrito method for this sew. You can just do regular because it has the back opening. So you don't have to worry about that on this pattern, which is nice. I know sometimes it could it makes people nervous. But the burrito method is really easy, first of all, and but so is, you know, just sewing it on regular. So you can just sew this one, especially since I'm doing the sleeveless version, which is nice. Even if you were adding sleeves, no matter what you were doing, you could do it this way. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and match up my armholes because I am going sleeveless. So I'm going to go ahead and match those up. And I am going to serge these. You can do it on your machine and then go back in and do notches inside the seam allowance. That way your curves actually curve. But if you use a serger, you can also do it on your serger, and then you don't have to go back in. The serger kind of makes it to where you don't have to notch that at seam allowance. So, just another great thing about the serger. About this fall collection. I'm blown away. Holy crap, these designers did a great job. All these beautiful patterns, I tested, Talise, I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, Stephanie, if I'm not. And then Berkley, of course. Getting to test both of these patterns. They truly are really well designed. Okay, I'm not going to sew my back seams, and I'll tell you why. Because we're doing a zipper, and so we don't want to sew down this back seam. If we were doing buttons or something of that nature, you could, but I'm going to leave this back seam unsewn and then flip everything inside out, and then we can sew them together so that our edges are finished when we do the zipper. So that makes that a little easier. Just turn this inside out. And next step I'm going to do is do the underarms, so those, and then I'll go back and top stitch. I do it that way because that way when I top stitch, it all lays flat and doesn't look wonky on my side seams. Even though it's underneath, I still want it to all look nice. Okay. So it's looking, ooh, man, I'm telling you, this pattern is so pretty. I don't know if you can tell, but man, the details on this are just, oh, they're amazing. They're simply amazing. I promise we're getting there. Just take some time. Anybody have any questions? Katrina, you can go back and view the video when it's done, from the very beginning. So, but I mean, you haven't really missed much. I didn't do the pleats on the video. That's all in the pattern. So really all I'm doing is sewing it together. But, oh, and I'm doing that to the wrong edge. Okay. Okay. Now the undersides. So, but yes, you can go back and watch it. if you want to see how I cut it out and all of that. I'm gonna get to the zipper here in probably another 5 minutes or so, so hang around. I'll get there, I promise. It'll be worth it if you have questions about the zipper or need help with the zipper. Has anyone watching never done a zipper before? Maybe this is your first time with a pattern that has a zipper on it. Anyone done an invisible zipper? Sutton's has an invisible zipper. Those are fun. Side, and then I'm gonna do my top stitching, or you know what I'm gonna do first, attach my backs and serge down those center side seams, or those center back seams, so that everything's laying good and flat for me when I go to top stitch. And a good thing to do at this point would be to press everything. That's probably in the pattern, and that's a really, really good thing to do, especially if, you know, maybe you're new to sewing. Pressing between each thing is good. It's definitely something I should be doing. Just takes time when you're sewing live, so I try not to waste y'all's time, especially if you know, have something in mind that you want to see, be it the zipper or whatever. So try not to waste your time there by going in doing it. Oh, Katrina, this would be your first zipper. Have you purchased the pattern yet? I'm telling you, people are afraid of zippers. They're not scary, guys. I promise, promise, promise they are not scary. They seem scary, but I mean, I don't know. I have done a lot of zippers and done zippers in wedding dresses and things of that nature, but I mean, I wouldn't, it takes steps, but if you follow the steps and do, you know, everything that I'm going to show you, it's really not hard. Okay, so I got that all done, and I'm going to top stitch in inside. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and top stitch real quick. It'll take a bit of seconds. Good, good, good. Glad you bought the pattern. It's a good one. There's a lot of details. And Tiffany really outdid herself with the videos of the pattern. She did a really good job of showing you exactly what you needed to do as you go. So that's why I say it's not necessarily 100% needed, this little sew-along or live video, because she did do such a great job with the pattern this time, but or she does a really good job with patterns regardless of what it is, but I just wanted to do it, so she said that's fine. Okay, I'm sewing now, top stitching my sleeve, or my armholes. And like I said, if you use your serger, you don't really have to go back in and clip anything. So it kind of makes it easy. Takes the stuff out if you have a serger. If you don't, it's not any harder at all. So it's definitely worth it. Okay, so I'm just going to show you real quick. Got it all top stitched on one side. I'm just going to top stitch the other side, and then we're going to move on to the skirt piece. In the instructions for the pattern, it tells you how to do the skirt. If you're using directional fabric or non-directional fabric, there's definitely a way to use directional fabric because it is a circle skirt. So I know sometimes people shy away from directional fabric when it's a circle skirt, but it tells you how to do it in the pattern. So don't let that deter you. And everything is described very well as far as how to cut the skirt and all of that. But if you do have questions, please make sure you ask on the main page, and anybody would be happy to help you. Okay, so when I cut my circle skirt, my fabric's not directional, so I cut it on, I had 2 folds, right? So I had a double fold, and then one side I cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because of the back zipper, but we want it to be a circle, so what I'm going to do is finish this seam that's going to go down the back. And the direction it'll tell you to do a gather stitch along the circle, which you do want to do, but it isn't a tight gather. So you're not doubling. It's a very, very loose gather because it's just a little bit that's got to be gathered up to match the bodice of the dress. So it's not going to look super gathered, but you definitely need that gather stitch make it all lay right, okay? And the correct way, which I'm going to go ahead and do, the correct way to do a gather stitch is to do 2. You know, a lot of people are self-taught seamstresses, which is amazing, and sometimes that gathering really seems more difficult than it actually is. And how I was taught years ago is to create 2 lines of stitching, and you're going to pull both on either end to the middle. Does that make sense? So pull a little bit on this side, put it to the middle. Then take a little bit on this side and pull it to the middle. Don't pull all one side, because if you pull all on one side, then what's going to happen is you're going to pull it off. Right? Does that make sense? So just start and use your bobbin thread, which is on the bottom on mine. And just start pulling. And you can pull them together at the same time, but like I said on this one, you really don't need very much. Because you see how I'm kind of just pulling a little bit, holding both bobbin threads, but I'm not going to go all the way to the other side. I'm just going to go to the middle. And we're just gathering a little bit, so you just need a teeny bit gathered. And I mean, need a little bit more, but holding both, right here, I'm holding both bobbin threads and gathering it up, okay? Let's go to the other side again. Hold both of the bottom bobbin threads and go to the middle. Okay, and I don't need much, so I'm just going to stop there because it's probably more than I will need. Okay, so now what you're going to do is take your bodice, you're going to match up the back seam, match up the other back seam, and because this was on a fold, I have side seams and a center, everything that's even, so that'll make it a little bit easier for me. But if you didn't, you could always mark what your center seam is with a pin or something like that if you didn't have the folds on your fabric very well. Okay, so I'm just marking these, and as you can see, I definitely gathered it too much because see how my gathers are bigger, and like I said, it really doesn't need much of a gather, just a little bit to kind of make it all lay flat with that circle, and because it is just a little bit bigger. Okay, so what I'm going to do is start from the middle and then just kind of pull out the gathers until my center bodice piece lays flat, and it all kind of, the gathers match, I guess is the best way to put that. Not too much gather in one spot, okay? I'll just see if this is an easier way to show you. So pull those gathers out as you go. Pull. And you want your bodice, your back bodice to lay flat. But just remember when you do, when you sew this yourself, especially, you don't really need to put your gather foot on, because like I said, you're not gathering it very much at all. So I wouldn't want you to do all the work of gathering, and you don't have to sit and gather for, you know, ever. There's really hardly any gather to it. So I just wanted to make that clear in case someone didn't waste their time. Okay. So then, when you get it all pinned, and I've done this the correct gather way, I usually cheat and only do one. So, be honest with you guys. But I do that because I don't want to have to go back and rip out a stitch. And that's laziness. But what are you gonna do? Okay. So this is the correct way to do it. And then what you would do is you would sew, if you're using your sewing machine, you would sew right between the two stitches. So that's going to ensure your gathers are exactly right all the way. Yes, you can, Katrina, you can mark the middle. Sorry, I need a pillow on my back so before you start gathering, you can do that. That way everything is marked up. I would use a pin. I use these clips when I sew, but I would just use a straight pin, and you can sew over a straight pin. You be careful because it can break, and your needle can break as well. So be careful, but it is something that can be done. Or you could mark it with, say, a marking pencil. That would work as well. So I'm going to serge mine on because, like I said, I don't like extra steps. But, okay, here we go. I'm going to serge, and my serging stitches will go right in between my two gather stitches. And I'm leaving my serging on the top, and when you sew it, I'm leaving the skirt on the top, the gathers on the top. So that way, when you sew it, you can kind of see and make for sure you get all your gathers, and nothing gets wonky. Sometimes they can get tucked and out of place, and this way you just know that you're getting all of your skirts every time. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so there we go. So now if you look at it closely, you can see that there's still that second gather stitch there. But that's basically it. I'm gonna pull that out. If you pull that bobbin thread, it's the looser one, it should at least be somewhat simple to pull out. I use my seam ripper sometimes just to pull it up, pull it out. You can go back on front and it just pulls right off. So not too bad, not too difficult. Okay. Okay, so our next step is the zipper. Okay, ready? Those of you who came here for the zipper, here we go. Here's our zipper. For future people, I don't know how far into this we are, but for many minutes it is. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to match your top, match your waist, and your bottom hem. Pin through here, and that's going to be your first step, okay? And you want to make for sure that top, and at least if your hem is off, that we can work with, you can shorten or whatever, but you want to make for sure that bodice is even and the top is even, because it's going to matter when you have your zipper on there on whether or not it looks even. Okay, so that's marked. Now, I told you I had a long zipper. This is just what I had. So this is a 22-inch zipper, which obviously we don't need for this pattern, right? So decide what you do want, what length you do feel like you need. And I think what I used last time was a 9-inch zipper. So what I'm going to do is measure. You would want 9 inches from the teeth to the bottom, so 9 inches. And you can mark it with a pin or mark it with a marking pencil, whatever. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to first, because we're doing the zipper and this is pretty detailed, I'm going to go over my camera. That's what you're going to be able to see. Okay. 33.53. Thank you, Couture. Wow. Okay. 35.53. Okay. So, marked it. What you're going to do is you're going to put your sewing machine on zigzag stitch. Want to be tight, but not too tight. I'm going to go a little bit below this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zigzag over the teeth across the bottom. Okay? Just go back and forth a few times. So, you know, why would you need to do this? Well, say you accidentally buy the wrong zipper, or your store only has the color you need in a size two sizes bigger. You know, you don't want to have to pick a different size. This is the way that you make it shorter, okay? So you've zigzagged across the bottom. Now when you unzip, now you have a base and your zipper is not going to go past that, right? Okay, so that was relatively simple. Now, back to your straight stitch and put your, you can do your longest, depending on your machine. My machine's longest stitch is 6. Some machines are longer. I'm going to put this on 4. Some machines are shorter and only 4. So I'm going to put mine on 4, 5, just because I don't want it to gather. And sometimes my machine gets a little crazy. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 5/8, 3/8, whatever the pattern says. I usually do just a touch more, only because I want to make for sure everything catches. If you're really, really close in the size, there is ease in there, so they give you a little bit of room to do a little bit more. But if you feel like you're really, really close to that size, maybe do exactly what it says, but you're going to baste down 9 inches, or measure, I'm going to put this on here real quick. Go down, because I didn't, okay, using my machine. But baste down the length of your zipper from the head here to a little bit above that bottom piece. Okay, so baste it on there. When you get to the point where it's, you know, at the length you want it to be at, put your stitch length back to regular stitch, 2.5 to whatever you do. Back stitch a few times, and then sew the rest of your seam. Okay. Now what you've got is the top is basted, and you can open your seam. It's finished on either side, and now we're gonna put the zipper in, okay? So I've done several videos, or a couple of live videos of a zipper, and I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, and I don't think you can. I may not get to do a whole thing. I only have here until 4, so we may be able to get the zipper and then that's it. So if that's the case, I'll just work with it and I'll show you what it's like, how I finished it. Okay, so you're going to want to go to your iron and press this open all the way. Okay, I'm just using this because I don't want to have to walk away to my iron. I'm going to take contrasting color, which for this would be fine to use white. That's what I have, and it contrasts my gray zipper. And I'm going to just do a long, not too long because it makes it hard to sew, but long thread, double, put a knot in it. You're going to hand baste the zipper. Now once you've done a few, this is definitely an easy step to skip once you've done a few of them, but until you've done a few, trust me, please. I'm not bossy, but trust me, you're going to want to do this step. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your zipper like this, open way. This is what I'm going to consider the right side of the zipper, and you're going to want to put it on as if you can feel right here. This is where you don't want to be looking. You don't want to be looking at this because then that's inside out, right? Everyone got that? Okay, so you're going to put the head of the zipper. I do it semi-close to the top. What I do is I tuck these in here, and the zipper is a little dark. I didn't realize how dark it was. It'll be alright though, for me. Thankfully there's a few dark colors in here, so it'll be okay. I didn't realize though how dark it was. Probably could have gotten away with white or something. This is what I had. Okay, so I'm tucking those little bits down and putting pins in the top. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to take your zipper and you're going to take the teeth and you're going to line it up with your center seam, and you're going to pin on either side all the way down. Okay, so I wouldn't lay it flat. I'd keep your hand underneath, or if you do it on your ironing board, that's also really good. Just try not to catch your ironing board in the bottom or in the pin, but here we go. Okay, so all the way down, picking it up, looking, laying it down, pin. One on either side will be key. And I'm still keeping my hand underneath. One on either side. you're going to get to wherever you back stitched here, and that's going to be kind of your indicator to stop. And do cross pin. I do just like that. I mean, you don't have to, but that's how I do it. That way I know this is where I need to stop. Now I'm going to go back in. Now you could put this on your machine and sew it like this. I've done it many times, and that's usually how I do it. But for the purpose of this video, I'm now going to go in and hand baste it. And I'm going to go kind of close to the outside of the zipper. See, so I'm just hand basting long stitches. It doesn't need to be perfect. But this is so when I sew my zipper in, I can remove those pins because it's sewn in, it's basted in with the thread, and it just makes it a whole lot easier when you're sewing, not to have to worry about pins. So this is how I learned how to do it. This is how I've taught many people how to do it. There are probably 3,000 ways to sew a zipper in on Pinterest or on YouTube. I'm sure that someone else has a better, easier way to sew a zipper in, and that is wonderful if they do. This is just how I do it. And so I've sewn in, I don't even know, guys, like hundreds, not 800, hundreds of zippers. So I know a thing or two about the best way to sew in zippers. I'm no zipper expert, I promise. I'm not trying to say that. But I do understand and know how to do a zipper, so you don't have to take my word as anything, but this is just a good, helpful tip. And if you find a way that works best for you, do it, because that's the beauty of sewing, is that everybody finds the way that works best for them. And sometimes it's different than maybe how someone else does it, and that's okay. That is okay. So, almost done. I know it's an extra step, but in the end, I promise, especially if this is your first zipper, I promise it's worth it. Promise. Okay, a couple more stitches. Be good to go. I'm just going to leave that thread right along. Okay, now I'm going to take out all my pins because my zipper is basted in, so I don't have to worry about them anymore. Right? Okay. So I'm going to go a little closer so you can see my machine as I sew it in. I know it's backwards, but here we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take, this is a 2T. So I'm taking my back off because I need the extra space. You want to make sure you're not going to catch your front. I've done it many times. So if you can fit it, you'll see, if you can fit it underneath like that, that's good. But as you get kind of closer to the end, you may have to kind of bunch. I always start about an inch below the head, do the whole thing, take out my gathers, then I come back and sew this at the end, because getting around this, I don't have a zipper foot on my super fancy machine. I don't know why, but it doesn't have a zipper foot. If you have a zipper foot, great, use it. You can go all the way up and you'll be fine. I have to use my regular foot, so that's why I always just leave it on. And even when I did have a zipper foot on my older machines, I still didn't do it because, I don't know, it just came out better. Okay, so I have lines on my foot. I don't know if you can see them right there. So I am going to match the edge of the zipper up with this outside line. That's just going to be my guide. Okay. Do not have to backstitch, so I don't know why I did, but I think it's because it's habit. Okay, so if you see, I kind of have everything scrunchied. Alright, here we go. It's being a bit of a booger today, so I might have to go See how everything kind of rolled down? So just roll. Okay, get to that bottom. Pick up, twist. Okay, so straight across, go across those teeth again. And twist again. Now you're going back towards the top. Sorry guys, I hope it didn't. Probably messed up. My husband was calling me. I forgot to tell him not to call me. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to end that. Hopefully it won't call back. He usually knows if I don't answer that I'm sewing or something. And I am not available to talk. Okay. So, just going to show you either side. Now let's flip it to this side. And you can see, got one little tuck there. I can fix that, that's not a problem. But you can see how my stitches are even on either side. Okay, so I'm going to now take my basting stitch out real quick. Okay, I've got a few more minutes, girls. Oh, okay. Questions about this? Anybody? Okay, so I'm just taking this basting stitch out. Obviously, you can do it with your seam ripper if you want to, but I mean, this is just easy. I had it right there. Right. Okay. So, got that hand basted stitch out, and I'm going to take, I'm going to actually pin these top ones back down because they popped out on me and I don't want them out. Go away. Okay. Now I'm going to take my seam ripper and rip out my center seam. There you go. Now we have a zipper all the way down. Yay, we did it! See, it wasn't so bad, right? That wasn't bad at all. That was painless, except for I just stabbed myself. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just go back over, like I said, I left that unstitched, right? So now I'm just going to go back over it with the little tabbies down inside. Get that sewn. Got anything to fix? I'll fix it. Questions? Anybody? Concerns? Anything maybe I didn't cover well enough? Okay. So, that wasn't too terribly difficult. Now I know I've done, again, lots of zippers, so it doesn't seem too hard for me, but if you follow the steps, that's the thing. You know, you can make shortcuts and all of that, but this is really important that you follow all the steps for a zipper. Okay, so follow those steps. Sorry, I kind of ran out of time. I didn't really anticipate all of it taking as long as it did, but we have basically half a dress. Super cute. I'm gonna do the belt and the hem and get it done. I don't know, haven't decided yet if I'm gonna do the ruffle hem or not, but if I do something different, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. But thanks for sticking around with me. For those of you that did, sorry I didn't get more done than this before I had to go, but hopefully I was able to help you with at least with the zipper. And if you have questions about zippers or really about anything about this pattern, or really ever any patterns, I would definitely be happy to help. I've tested a few, and not many. I've only done it for a few months, but definitely here and happy to help if needed, okay? Have a good night and a happy weekend, everyone. Bye.